What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if any of the members of the Suicide Squad will die in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So, we've talked about this before for the Justice League. We've said, okay, well, they're the villain, quote-unquote, villains of this game. We're going after them. Will any of them actually be taken out? And I said, well, they have a solid opportunity there, right? Because, again, this is in the Arkham world, but we don't really know when or where, like in terms of like timelines or different universes maybe in the like different, literal maybe like parallel timelines that are going on in the Arkham world. So the options are kind of open. And I was thinking of doing this. I was thinking about this idea for a very, very long time, and I didn't do it, obviously, up until this video, and I'll kind of explain why as we go through this. But really quickly, I do just want to say, if you haven't noticed, I do want to make this, I guess, public service announcement. I've kind of cut down the coverage on this game to like once every other week. These videos don't normally do as well as some of the other stuff. I still love talking about it. I think I'm literally the only person on YouTube that does talk about this, so we're going to be continuing. I'm going to be doing a video hopefully every other week. Leave suggestions if you guys have any in the comments. As always, if you do like this stuff or you do want to see more of it, make sure you let me know. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. All of my other social media stuff, my Discord, my Twitter, my second channel, all in the description below if you guys want to support me in all those other places. So the reason I didn't want to do this, or I didn't really feel like I was very unsure, and the answer to this question, by the way, of like will a member of the Suicide Squad die, I would say no. That would be my 2-year out prediction, right? I mean, every time we make a new one of these videos, we get closer, and we get a couple of weeks closer, I guess, to the game releasing, which still year and a half, almost maybe even closer to 2 years, right? If it comes out maybe in the October-November period of 2022. We have a long time to wait. There is zero doubt about that. We have a long time to wait. I would honestly argue until we get just any new information on this game in general. But we can kind of let our imaginations run wild. The thing holding me back from saying that anybody would die is this: the kind of game it is. We've seen it. Again, I feel like it's almost impossible to make a Gotham Knights or a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video without mentioning Avengers. But I do want to say something with this, and I do want to spoil it. Okay, so if you guys haven't played Avengers, skip like 30, 40, 50 seconds. In Avengers, obviously Captain America dies, but he doesn't actually die. He comes back. But the point is, and that's the spoiler, but pretty much you're playing as all of these characters. You can't eliminate any of them because you're able to play and go through the whole story, and the whole point is to continue to play these missions, to go online and do the different hives and the war zones and the drop zones and the threat sectors and all that stuff. But the point is to continue with these characters, and if you were to take a character out, you have stopped yourself from playing as them. You know what I mean? Which is against really the whole principle of the game. So for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, there's only a couple things we know, but they are very important. Well, one, we know as of right now there's only the 4 members. Now, there could be more, there could be less. I guess you could argue, if you want to make this like a super loophole kind of video, it would be possible that if in the game the story missions introduce other people, other villains, other like anti-heroes, right, that you could kill off through story missions, through cutscenes, through things that happen like that, where maybe the Justice League are like hunting you down and you're like the last 4 remaining and you have to take them out. So there are ways around it. There's ways that, well, maybe the reason Killer Frost isn't in this game is because, or it isn't a playable character. Maybe there is a mission with Killer Frost, maybe she gets killed, or whatever the situation may be. You know what I mean? So that has kind of been, that's really, in my opinion, the only way you do it, because you have a story and a game that you're going to be playing as one of these 4, okay? And the other ones are populated either by friends, by multiplayer, or by AI. So we've talked about this. I don't necessarily agree with this style of game. I'm going to give it a chance. I just am not the biggest fan of it. Is no matter what, if I want to play this game solo, I can, but I'm going to be playing with 4 people. It's going to be me and 3 AI-controlled bots, pretty much. If I'm Harley, then the bots are going to control the other people, and you're going to be doing that. So, again, when you have a game centered around playing as 4 people, and you can play as one, and then... So, really, again, this is what stops it. There's 4 Suicide Squad members. I'm one of them. Obviously, when these games come out, both Gotham Knights and this, we're going to play it. I'll play it with people, in the community, right? So I'm Harley. I find 3 of you guys that want to play as the other characters, right? Though we are a squad and we are playing this game we could just now we may not. I may swap people out, right? We may want to give people a chance, but let's pretend we're playing the entire game from start to finish all together. Well, if you killed one of our members off in a story kind of sense, well, you just stopped us from playing with 4 people. Now we can only play with 3. That goes against the core fundamental of the game. And that is the biggest detriment to it. So while they're going down this path, and again, you have to accept it because that's just what they're doing. You don't have to agree with it. You could disagree, you could not like it, whatever, but that's the way they're going. But the thing is, like, they're setting it up for a kind of play style, a kind of way of doing this, but they do take away from the story. I just gave you an example. How do you provide tension in that maybe one of the Suicide Squad members could die? How do you do that if you could always have 4 of us, if all 4 of us would always play? And you could say, well, they don't always have to have 4. Well, that doesn't really make much sense because they literally said you can populate yourself. Now, I guess they could go the case of like Avengers, like, certain missions you can only play as yourself, or certain missions there's just one person. It's just like the iconic mission is just say like one, whatever situation you want to say. Maybe they do that for this. But again, that's not really, it still doesn't change anything because that characters are going to come back. Say I do a Harley Quinn mission and I literally can only play as Harley. There will be no bots. Nobody else can play it with me. It's just me. Well, you still know she's going to survive that mission because you didn't even have to play that mission. You could have played some other mission. You know what I mean? So that, I think, takes away a lot from the storytelling. And one other part of it, I'm not against this, but again, to make my point on who's going to die or not, we know the lead writer of this game has called this game, like, it's comical. It's like a fun, very lighthearted kind of game. Now, is she just talking about maybe her specific parts? Is she talking about maybe the general theme, but there is going to be... Because even in a comedy, or even in something that doesn't take itself too seriously, you can be a comedy, but also you could be like a comedic drama. That's like a thing, right? So you could still have emotional beats in your thing and also be funny. So hopefully that, and to be honest, that is what I hope that she's talking about, because if the game is just kind of comical, you don't take things too seriously, well, if I kill a Justice League member in this Arkham world that I have grown to love over, 2009 when Batman Arkham Asylum came out, I mean, if you're going to have Batman in it, you're not, or whatever, but you introduce these Justice League characters and you kill them off, I should care. I should hopefully care. Also, if they are being mind controlled and it's not really even them, if one of them has to die, well, that's kind of an emotion. That's like a hit, right? Because it's like, man, I wish we didn't have to do this, but we do. So there could be and there should be emotional beats. The Suicide Squad, yeah, they'll make jokes to each other. It'll be like a funny banter, but you could look at maybe what the like Suicide Squad, the movie a few years ago, David Ayer's movie that didn't work. I mean, there was comedy, but they also were trying to make you feel emotional at times. I mean, you know what I mean? You can't just have a point blank comedy for this. So that's something to keep in mind. That's pretty much all I'm saying, is it's something to keep in mind that she said it's more of a lighthearted, funny thing, which is fine. You can have lighthearted, funny moments, but I do want to care about these characters, and you normally don't get me to care about characters too often through comedy like this, right? Same thing with the Justice League itself. Anything. You can't, I think in a game where you're going to be battling, where you're going to be killing people off potentially, where you're going to be able, where you're going to really advance the Arkham universe, right? There's going to have to be some seriousness to it. With that being said, this is Rocksteady making it. They did make the Arkham games. I couldn't imagine... Like, this will be kind of a 180. I'm sure, especially even like the gameplay itself will probably be a very big 180 from what we're used to. But in terms of like how they tell stories and how they deliver things, right? They are very good. I would say, the acting has always been good. The delivery of things has always been good. Maybe it wasn't the way they should have went, right? Maybe some of the Arkham Knight stuff, the story-wise, and, they messed up a lot there, right? But... it's not like the actors were bad. It's not like most motivations weren't kind of clear. Again, there were some mistakes there, but you hope they learn from them, right? So Justice League obviously seems a lot more of a risk where it's like they could very well kill some off. That would have some big, I think, implications to the Arkham universe. It's risky, but it's also like bold and it could be cool. For the Suicide Squad, it's kind of like where, well, you're kind of safe. That's, I guess in any superhero game, how many times do characters necessarily die off? We did get some characters that died in the Arkham universe. Obviously, Spider-Man had some things that also happened in the Spider-Man game. So, like, death is possible. And sometimes it happens to you. Also, story games, sometimes characters that are a part of the main ensemble cast, they do sometimes die. So we'll have to see. But again, I really think the way they set this game up is like, no, these 4 are safe. These 4 are pretty much as safe as can be, because if you eliminate one, you kind of break the core mechanic of the game. Now, if you were to introduce more of them that you could maybe swap in or out, then I guess you could have something where, but you'd have to separate, again, multiplayer from single player, because, what I mean? It just doesn't really make sense. Say there's like multiplayer raids or multiplayer missions that you can go like back in after you beat the story, which I do assume there'll be some sort of mechanic. Well, in the story, maybe you eventually eliminate certain characters you can and can't play as, but in the multiplayer, you'd be able to play as everybody. You know what I mean? So it's a tricky thing that they got themselves into, because I really feel like just that alone takes away a lot from the seriousness and the stakes of the story, which maybe they're not going for that, but to me, that's kind of important. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think that any of the Suicide Squad members will be killed off in this? Do you agree with how I kind of defended that? Let me know. As always, make sure, again, you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. Leave in the comments below any thing you want me to make on this game. I'm totally willing to make videos that you guys want to see on Suicide Squad, so keep the suggestions coming. Again, all my social media stuff, my Twitter, my Discord, and my second channel is all in the description below if you guys want to check that out. Support me in those other places as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.